Hello everyone, the December Review here, back again with a movie review. Today, we have the final entry in the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy, Halloween Ends. Spoilers are ahead. Billed as the final showdown between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, Ends comes 4 years after the franchise reboot, which brought back many stars from the original film, including Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter. Their first foray, 2018's Halloween, lit up the box office and was a well enough welcomed kickstart to the series. There were a few red flags story-wise, deciding to remove some key aspects of the series, but the result brought Michael Myers back as the king of the horror mountain. The second film, Halloween Kills, well, that didn't go so well. It's more of an action gore fest than anything resembling the tone of the earlier entries in the series, and with its lackluster narrative, the movie fractured its audience The Last Jedi style, and that's not really a good thing. But we are back with one more round, a chance at redemption. 44 years of history have come to this one film. One of the most iconic and influential horror films ever made has brought us to this, once again, but we swear really and truly, final battle between two of the most revered characters in slasher history. Or not. Sure, all of the marketing for the film said that this was the case, but Halloween Ends decided to fully embrace its Last Jedi comparison in an attempt to subvert expectations in such a way that they may have fractured most of the goodwill they had left with this trilogy. Picking up in the present day, 4 years after the events of the first two films, we find a much more at-peace Laurie Strode. She has bought a new home in Haddonfield with her granddaughter Allison, gotten sober, and is writing a memoir of her life. But Haddonfield has become a dark town, one turning against itself. Michael Myers' reign of terror has transformed the area into a cataclysm of events. A tranquil society on the outside, but a mean-spirited divide bubbles from within. In the film's opening sequence, we meet Corey Cunningham. After an accident and a rather shocking turn of events, Corey has become the town's outcast, bullied by anyone who crosses his path, and shunned by all except Laurie Strode. She herself has felt the wrath of the town, as many somehow believe Michael's last spree was provoked by Laurie. Many feel she is to blame, and they have been letting their frustrations known to her. Laurie eventually introduces Corey to Allison, and the pair hit it off. But within these frayed nerves of Haddonfield, darkness is looming with Corey. And there's your setup to Halloween Ends. Unfortunately, I've left out one major character to catch up on. Yeah, Michael Myers. And that's because this final Halloween entry isn't his film. Sure, he's in it eventually for a few minutes. In fact, it's about 44 minutes until we see him. But the film wants to focus on Corey and the concept of what pure evil is. It's a pretty bold direction to head into, and even more deliberate considering the marketing for the film was the exact opposite. By deciding to create a new killer in what's supposed to be Myers' swan song, the film opens itself up to comparisons to other bait-and-switch slashers like Friday the 13th Part 5 and even Halloween 3 to some regard. But at least with Season of the Witch, they told you up front that it was different. There are some really nice things underneath its slightly disappointing storyline. First off, the film feels like a cohesive movie, unlike Kills, which wandered into random scenes at times. And there's a slower, more deliberate pace for much of the movie, which is very welcomed. This helps the more shocking and special effects-driven moments to stand out more. For Laurie Strode, her arc comes full circle, and Jamie Lee Curtis shines with this much more balanced nature for the character. No longer the paranoid wreck from 2018, Laurie embraces Halloween here, and that freedom comes through the screen with thoughtfulness and knowledge that this will be her final stand. Annie Matichak as Allison is also a standout. She gets a whole lot of screen time as her relationship with Corey takes shape, while her alliance with Laurie begins to fray. The concept of the town turning against itself is also interesting, but it's essentially dropped after an effective introduction. John Carpenter is of course back with the score, and it's as chilling and menacing as always. Behind the camera, David continues his trademark moving shots, which were once again really effective early on. His ability to sweep through one room into the next throughout this trilogy helped create this new version of Haddonfield. And there's a much larger theme here than your standard Halloween movie. Rob Zombie explored this area with his remake, and some of those concepts are brought back with Corey and his family life. There is also a question of evil in which Michael, or unfortunately and specifically Corey, was always bound for darkness, or did his surroundings create this divide? On top of all this is the unanswered look into some wacky supernatural elements at work. When we do have Michael Myers present, he apparently can see into your past now. Michael is weak, in hiding, and living in a sewer drain. Okay, that I can understand, but their superhuman strength shown during kills is gone, and in its place is some Feed Me Seymour Little Shop of Horrors Corey connection that didn't seem plausible. The 2018 film, along with kills, had some cool Easter eggs for fans, sprinkling random callbacks from the entire series. This trilogy storyline only exists after Part 1, but the franchise's lineage made appearances throughout. We saw the silver shamrock masks, a truck had Resurrection written on it, and in Ends, the film's blue title sequences are a riff from Season of the Witch. And these supernatural elements have been discussed before between parts 4 through 6. For a trilogy that went out of its way to reorg Michael and Laurie's relationship, it seems like an odd choice to include some other less than popular ideas. No one really minded that they were related. In fact, it ended up giving the series some purpose. That idea was tossed aside, but giving Michael essentially a sidekick, one who can take him down and run off with his mask, well, now we're just plain old talking shenanigans. The slowed down pace and narrative for Laurie really worked here. We've spent 4 decades watching her in hyper mode. To finally be able to enjoy life somehow after everything was a nice change. And again, had this been the first film in the trilogy, the ending aside, then I think it's a much more palatable ask for its audience. By building up to this film and promoting it as a Michael and Laurie send-off, the movie was destined for disappointment, in which unfortunately I was disappointed. Laurie and Allison, along with the limited screen time for Hawkins, are standouts. The idea of the town turning evil based off of Michael is very interesting. But at the end of the day, this isn't a Michael Myers film. I get why they went in this direction, it just felt like the wrong time for it. I give Halloween Ends 2.5 out of 5 stars. I'm certain we will see the shape return down the road. You can't kill the boogeyman or a boatload of box office dollars. Hopefully, the next installment brings Michael back to the shadows, but until then, I am grateful that the series and its creators were able to celebrate the legacy one last time. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel for more.